Hi, welcome back. So we've talked about the inverse trigonometric functions and their domains and their ranges. We have talked about the fact that inverse trigonometric functions apply to ratios and give us back angles. So let's break that down. Suppose I'm asked to evaluate the inverse sine of 1/2. When you see this, what you want to be thinking is what angle between negative pi over 2 and pi over 2, and think about why I'm limiting myself to those values, has sine equal to 1/2. That is the question we are answering when we are evaluating the inverse sine of 1/2. Now, you remember that 1/2 is one of your special known unit circle values. So let's talk about our unit circle. Sine of 1/2 means the y-coordinate is 1/2, which means that we are talking about something right about here. That looks like pi over 3. Which means that, so let me see. So this thing we know has got coordinates root 3 over 2, 1/2, because we're talking about the unit circle. We know that this angle is pi over 3 or 60 degrees, but unless otherwise stated, you're generally going to give these responses in radians. So because of this relationship, this tells us that the sine inverse of 1/2 is equal to pi over 3, because the sine of pi over 3 equals 1/2. Okay? So let's look at another one. Suppose I'm asked for the inverse cosine of negative root 3 over 2. I'm asked to evaluate the inverse cosine of negative root 3 over 2. So I'm asking myself, what angle, and we're dealing with inverse cosine, so that means between 0 and pi, has cosine equal to negative square root 3 over 2. So again, we're going to think about our unit circle. And cosine is related to the x-axis. So we're talking about this guy over here that has got coordinates negative root 3 over 2, 1/2. And we know that that is 5 pi over 6. Is that right? Yes, that is correct. So the inverse cosine of negative root 3 over 2 equals 5 pi over 6, because the cosine of 5 pi over 6 equals, give myself a little more room, negative square root 3 over 2. Okay? Now, not always are we given such nice exact values. So suppose you're asked to evaluate the inverse sine of 0.97. Now 0.97 is not one of our special known unit circle values. We are still asking the question, what angle between negative pi over 2 and positive pi over 2 has sine equal to 0.97. And what you do is you go to Desmos and you ask Desmos to give you the inverse sine of 0.97. And Desmos gives you 1.325. So that means that the inverse sine of 0.97 equals 1.325. Now that's actually an approximately equals. And in fact, if I take the sine of 1.325, I don't quite get 0.97. And usually we'll do these to 4 decimal places. And I get closer to 0.97, but you can see it's still not exact because outside of our special known unit circle values, we're only going to get approximations. Our calculator answers are always going to be approximations. All right, so this is evaluating inverse trigonometric functions. In the next video, we are going to do some work with triangles. So I'll be back in a minute.